The term FE has really taken a life of its own in Samsung's catalog. Just one good release by the brand, and now every year we're looking forward to what the fan edition devices will bring, and for how much. With the Galaxy S22 on the horizon, we have one more look at the S21 courtesy of a brand new FE edition, and I've been using it for a little while now. How does the FE stack up to the original? And should it be the one that you consider even with the next generation coming soon? Let's talk about that. It's Joshua Vergara. What's going on, everybody? Here's what worked and what didn't with the Samsung Galaxy S21 FE. Alright, before we get started with this phone, a couple of things. I'll try to do what I did last time by making every section kind of correspond with the FE letters, but they won't all be that way. Also, the Galaxy S22 Unpacked event is literally just days away, and Samsung is actually doing a reservation system if you want to save your spot in line to get one of the new devices. I actually have a link in the description below that you can use to check it all out. Every click of that link actually helps my channel out, so if you're hyped for the latest Samsung Galaxy smartphones, it's a perfect way to show your love. Of course, you can let me know what you're excited for with the Galaxy S22 and what you like about this S21 FE, all in the comments. You can hit that like button and of course subscribe for all of my coverage of Samsung's upcoming releases. The Galaxy S21 lineup was a great update in the smartphone's design. With the FE, Samsung basically brought back that camera bump look but made it blend in a little more with the rest of the backing. I find this to be a pretty nice move that isn't better or worse than before, but I will say that the FE just benefits from having a pretty much more uniform design as a result, and that level of simplicity kind of permeates throughout the entire device. There aren't really any unneeded flourishes throughout the FE, which might seem a little contrary to what some fans might actually want from a device that is supposed to be marketed towards them. After all, the term fan in the world of tech is kind of different for everyone. Some people want a headphone jack and a microSD card slot to be somewhere on this chassis, but the fan edition shares those omissions with the mainline devices. At the very least, this is a dual SIM device, which makes this a nice one for constant travelers and anyone that needs a bit more in the connectivity department. And sure, you can go for a different color, and there are a few of them like I showed in my hands-on video, but I actually kind of applaud this sparse nature of this black edition. The Galaxy S21 FE still manages to look unmistakably like a Galaxy S21, just with a little less flair, and there's plenty of room for that kind of design philosophy in the current landscape. Despite all of this, I do have to share how the Galaxy S21 FE wasn't as much a dream to handle. There's nothing wrong with the materials and the size of this display per se, it's just that in my smaller hands, admittedly smaller hands, it tends to be a bit precarious, even with the pinky anchors and the death grips that you might have to keep your phone in your hands. It basically comes down to this backing. I think the backing, matted and plastic and honestly resistant to a lot of smudges, is just a little bit too smooth. Couple that with the fact that the display is at 6.4 inches, which is just a bit too wide for easy reach from side to side. So in all honesty, there are times where I feel like I had to catch the phone because it felt like it was about to slip out or it was going to fall out of my hands. See, it's just interesting to me because the FE falls squarely in the middle between the Galaxy S21 and the S21 Plus in terms of display size. The Galaxy S21, the base model, is often cited as one of the go-to devices for people who want a premium experience in an easy-to-handle everyday handling experience. So you could argue that the FE, a slightly more affordable phone, it could reach more people by sticking to that very notion. But I do get why this display had to be a little bit larger, to appeal to those who want to save money but they still want as much display as possible. It is honestly a bit of a hard balance, and ultimately it makes for a fan edition device that is a little bit bigger in some ways while quite a bit simpler in others. After all, keeping it simple is exactly why the FE is so highly sought after. Fan editions tend to have the essentials, the very things that an everyday user might want while still appealing to some of the needs of the power user. This Galaxy S21 FE has the Snapdragon 888, 8GB of RAM, up to 8GB, 4500 mAh in that battery, and a high refresh rate screen that has the, as I was showing before, the fingerprint reader in the display. So it should come as no surprise that for anyone that needs it, there is a high quality of both work and play in the S21 FE. These aren't the highest specs, the highest resolution, or the highest capacities, but they are more than enough for people who are looking around this phone's price point. So I've been on the FE for a number of days now, and it's been a breeze to use. One UI has all of the features that you'd expect from a flagship release, including extras like a game center, this side panel that gets you access to some quick shortcuts, the pop-up view for various applications for multitasking, and it also has Samsung DeX inside. All of these things work exactly how you would want it to on the daily, though I will admit that the phone did heat up quite a bit when I was doing more intensive tasks, like gaming for long periods of time. I noticed some frame dips here and there while playing games in that scenario, but I was also cranking the graphics settings to their max every single time. Still, I would say that the experience was good, and for basically any general user, the FE is a good time. The cameras of the Galaxy S21 FE cut mainly the telephoto lens, bringing that megapixel count all the way down to 8, but you still have quite a bit of versatility when shooting with a triple camera setup and the front-facing camera, with one main addition that was made to the software experience. You probably know my stance on zoom. I'm not the most avid user of telephoto lenses on phones, but what I really want to give the Galaxy S21 FE credit for is its shooting experience. Despite the lower price tag and the minimalistic approach, the camera experience is still high bar. There are a few things to keep in mind. The telephoto lens gets the camera all the way up to 30 times, so 30 times space zoom, I suppose, but at 8 megapixels, you don't have a whole lot of data to work with here, so as per usual, zooming at a max of maybe 10 times is far more ideal. 4K video recording is available throughout the sensors, but the 32 megapixel front-facing camera takes a step back by not having any autofocus. One other addition to the camera experience is right here, the object eraser. Samsung's take on the Pixel Magic Eraser shows that you don't necessarily need Google's crazy algorithms to remove things like people or objects from your shot. Sure, there might be like a smudge there where the object used to be, kind of like there's a tear in the picture's timeline and the space-time continuum, but for simple social media posts, it tends to get the job done. I had these cameras on me while on a couple of key outings recently and was really happy with everything that I got. Even with those certain quirks that I just mentioned, it's always nice to get this level of quality from a phone that is more affordable than the usual suspects. But that's kind of a problem because there are new suspects in the smartphone market around the price of the Galaxy S21 FE. Perhaps inevitably this phone was going to be compared to a Pixel 6, a phone that doesn't sport a telephoto lens to be fair, but does come in at $100 less, with arguably one of the best balances of picture quality and camera ease of use. We did used to say that Samsung adds way more to the software experience, but certain Pixel features like the tensor-powered voice dictation and voice typing, they make a strong case for the Pixel side. I'm not going to go outright and say just because the Pixel 6 is cheaper, it automatically makes this phone obsolete, but Samsung did release this phone at a rather weird time. See, once again, Unpacked is right around the corner, and this phone coming out now is a weird addition to the release schedule because technically we're going to get the Galaxy S22, its variants, and the S21 is finding a way to stick around thanks to this FE variant. Assuming the pricing will still take into consideration that the FE is supposed to be the most affordable option, you might have to make a choice between getting this good Galaxy S21 FE right now or waiting just a little bit longer to spend maybe $100 or $200 more, whatever it might be, to get the base edition of the latest and greatest. And that's where I find it a bit of a hard choice, because a fan of Samsung might just prefer to be on the bleeding edge. And because of the release schedule of this particular phone, it kind of begs the question, what exactly can we expect from the FE in the future? When will it even come out? Will it come out so late in the S22 cycle next time that we run into these same problems again? And on a more general note, when will certain features finally get considered by Samsung as what fans want? These are all questions that might be asked anyway, but given the way that the Galaxy S21 FE came out, they might be more important than ever. If you ask me, the Galaxy S20 FE made such a great first impression because it was the answer to Samsung's own high-priced flagships. But as Samsung has made their mainline devices more accessible, the FE is losing a little bit of that luster. Don't get me wrong, this is still an easy phone to recommend, especially for those who need to save as much money as possible without cutting a whole lot out. It's just that this fan edition variant finds itself in a crowded fog of well-balanced, generally affordable smartphones now, and it even has its own in-house counterparts to contend with coming soon. Would you go for the Galaxy S21 FE? I have a link to check out this phone in the description down below, so feel free to hit that, and don't forget about the Unpacked reservation link as well. Sound off by hitting the like button and letting me know your thoughts in the comment sections down below. And of course, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. With all that said, I'm going to go ahead and call it on this one. Thank you so much for watching. Please take care of yourselves and each other, and enjoy your tea, everybody.